Hey, Tony Picciano. Whenever I say your last name, I want to go like Tony Picciano.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. Hey, thank you so much for joining us live. I'm Maxine Drake. I help beauty professionals build, grow, and scale their business. I am also the founder of the Beauty Business Summit. And today with me, I have Tony Picciano, who is the owner and founder of CEO of Neurotris Microcurrent. So we're gonna take a deep dive today, Tony. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this with me and get people really excited about what is going on with microcurrent today and why the heck you can't even keep your Neurotris machines on, in stock right now, right? You're having a hard time keeping up.
Sorry, we just wrapped up manufacturing. That's true. We hand build them here in California one by one, and because we're hand built, we build based on our supply and demand. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry. Let me just get rid of this phone.
Is that your cell phone?
No, that's not. That's the office phone. That's one phone I forgot to turn off. All right.
This is what happens when we're live. We just like work out the kinks. It's no big deal. It's all good.
Okay.
So, yeah. So tell us, well, actually, you know what? Before we even dive into that, I'd like to kind of like just introduce you as a person and just kind of let people know a little bit of a backstory about you, which is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Not only are you the founder and the CEO of Neurotris, but you also you hold a master's in electronic engineering, and you are a retired firefighter paramedic, right?
That's true.
Since you retired this year, right?
Yes, absolutely. I did actually. I did retire just this year.
And
I
thank
did.
you for serving and protecting us.
Oh.
It's not easy being a first responder.
No, no, it's not. And actually, it was 15 years of my life doing that. It was fun, and I enjoyed it. I enjoy doing that, and I kind of miss it. But
You
here I
do.
am.
You
Hmm.
are. All right. So, okay. So, electronics engineer, firefighter engine, firefighter, paramedic. How did you like give us just a little brief? How did this all like meld together and
Well,
come in?
I've always been an engineer all my life, ever since high school. I graduated from high school, went to college, did my studies, and worked for a company for a year. Decided to open up my own business in frequency energy, and I specify with music also, with working with musical instruments and
Wow.
frequencies with that company, and branched off on my own and opened up my own engineering firm. And we did a lot of repairs with and did a lot of rebuilds within the music industries, where we started with, maybe I'm talking 25 years ago. And
Okay.
and then we opened up another division. Um, we were approached because we're an engineering firm for hire. So if someone came up to us and said, "Make me a dream," we would do it. So we had an esthetician years ago, it probably was 18 years ago, came up to us and said, "Hey, look, I got this microcurrent device, but I want something better. I love it, but I want my own. I want something better." So we engineered, it took a 3-year project in prototyping and development. We built a device, and it just turned out to be really great, a great working machine. Our first prototype was made, and it was tested at a couple of different facilities around the country. We did some trial
Wow.
testing and some other tests, and it just so happened to have been at one location in New York City. Mary Shook in New York
Okay.
City took the machine. I don't know if you know her. She took the machine. She was working with it. She had machine number 1, in fact, and she started testing it and working with it and absolutely loved it, did it great with it. And she happened to she works with celebrities. So she happened to do the editor of Vogue magazine, who did a treatment with the machine, absolutely loved the machine. And she goes, "Well, this machine is so great, I'm going to put it on the cover of Vogue."
And there
So,
you go.
and there we go. Ever since
Oh my
then,
gosh.
Mary Shook calls me and says, "You're going to be on the cover of Vogue next month. You better be ready." So I had to all of a sudden ramp up. When we hit the cover of Vogue, it was on the fashion edition of Vogue magazine on the cover, and the 2-page article inside the book and it just launched us quickly. So that's what
Wow.
started us company. That was back in 2007 or whenever it was, years ago.
And that
So
just got the
yeah,
ball
and here we are
rolling.
today with several different models. Yeah.
Several different models. Okay, so you are an electronics engineer. Your son is. You have a team of engineers. I
Right.
mean, and all of your machines are hand built, which I just think is like, whoa. But what makes your machine different from everything else on the market? Because let's face it, it's a little saturated out there with all kinds of stuff.
Well, most of the other companies or machines, are originate from China or overseas somewhere. And the
Okay.
methodology of those manufacturers overseas are all the same. And it's what they just believe in, building a small device or a simple device like a square wave or something very simple at very low current. And that makes a microcurrent machine. But we found it's different, because it takes a group of engineers that understand electrotherapeutics and physicians that understand how current travels through the body to make a perfect machine. And what we found out, what the others have not found out yet, is that our skin between every person is different.
Yep.
So because the skin types are different, the machine needs to sense that density and output perfect levels based on the skin type and density at the time of the treatment, because that changes daily too, based on hydration and other factors that are involved. So
Yeah.
our machine one has a technology and a built-in computer that senses that and outputs perfect levels based on the skin type. So that's one reason why we're different than the others.
Right. And with that said, in your machine being hand built, all of your components are from the US. And why is that important? Because of what you just
Well,
said, right? I mean, but
it is, and we've
yeah,
tried to drop cost of our products by importing even some of the simplest thing like the transistors and diodes. You figure,
yeah,
well, an Intel chip is an Intel chip. If you get it from a supplier that's cheaper, it's the same. But we found out that's not the case, because there's a big, huge problem in China right now called counterfeiting. They counterfeit the products. They make them
yeah.
lesser quality, and they don't function the same. When we ordered the supply of these chips thinking we're getting Intel parts, they're not. They're counterfeit. We had to actually rip apart a chip,
Wow.
see the inside through a microscope to find out it was fake, because the machine wouldn't function right. So
Right.
we don't do that anymore. We had to throw all those stuff away, and we make sure that our products are validated through, Intel or wherever we get them from, because we want to make sure that the device works, of course.
Right, right,
Most
right.
important.
And it brings me to a really interesting point, with stuff coming out of China and the counterfeit and this and that, because let's just talk about like microamps for a minute. And in the Chang study, which I think is what a lot of people base their machines on, right? Like that whole 500 microamps. And so tell us the truth about the Chang study, number one, and the misleading information there, right? Or
Right.
do you feel
Okay.
like it's
So
misleading?
it is, because there's really not a lot of science out there in the net, other than the Chang study seems to come up quite a bit. Now, with the Chang study, that study was done when Dr. Chang did the study. He was testing electrical current on the cell. Well, how did he do that? He did that with a process in a way we call in vitro. When it's done in vitro, it takes the cell out of its environment, puts it in a petri dish, runs the current through it, and now the cell reacts. Wow, this is how it works. We're seeing results with this level. That's
Right.
great. Well, that doesn't mean that your machine outputs 500 microcurrents and is going to work, because the problem is your face is not a petri dish.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Your face. And what's the biggest barrier that we have that prevents electrical energy going into the cell? The skin. So the skin blocks everything, including microcurrent. And
That's right.
depending on the type of waveform we're using,
Yeah.
it's going to travel through that density in different ways. So what we did was, so when you have a machine, if it says it outputs 500 microamps, well, by the time you put the probes on the skin, if it's not sensing the density, you're probably only getting 50 microamps to the cell. You don't
Wow.
know because you're not, the other machines don't monitor that. Ours does. So we output the signal based on the current, the voltage, the amplitude, and the type of waveform in order to make a perfect signal be efficacious, or what we call effective, to
Mm-hmm.
the destination tissues. That's huge. They don't do that. And
Right.
this is why when you follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and you look at our befores and afters from all of our clients worldwide, they're dramatic.
Right.
They're extreme.
Right.
And that's the reason why. And, and that's the most important thing when it comes to, you hear true microcurrent being 500 microamps. The way I define true microcurrent is one word: results.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And this
It's
is
results. You can sit there with scientific jargon about if it's not this, it's not going to work. And if it's not 500 microamps, you're doing this. That's a fallacy.
right.
It's a fallacy.
Right.
Because you can't say that unless, here's the deal. How can you tell me, this? Tell me this. How can you say that the world's population and all the skin types worldwide will trigger at 500 microamps and at 502 they won't? Does that make sense? No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
So it doesn't. So a machine needs to read that client skin at the end of the day.
And that does that through the signatures?
It does it through a computer that's built into the machine that sends a signal to it to the computers to tell the machine, okay, this is our skin type and density. This is the signal we need in order to maintain conformity. So it outputs that. Now the user can adjust the amplitude up or down and make personal adjustments, but the most important thing is the shape of the wave maintains integrity with all skin types. And that's what our machine does.
Right. Well, at the end of the day, and you and I have had many conversations, Tony, and I love getting to know you. This has just been so much fun. But, it is about results. I mean, people come to us in the treatment room because they have a problem.
Right.
They're not coming to us for a facial. They're coming to us to fix something.
Right.
And usually it's, something age related, we need a little help. And so when you're getting that results with, a piece, your machine, that's what's building that sustainable business, which is what the title of this whole class was. Because once you get people on protocol, they're kind of addicted, is what I'm hearing. I've talked to a lot of people since January that use your machine, and it's like, oh no, Maxine, whether you're a brand new esthetician or you're seasoned, if you're really ready to amp up your business, this is it. And it's not a trick. It's just the fact that it works. And so this is what people want. They want quality things. They have no problem in investing in a quality machine if it's going to produce what you say it's going to produce. And that's what's so fascinating. So the signals are different from the signatures, or did I get that wrong?
There's
signatures.
I would call it like a signal, and signature is the same. I call it signature,
Okay.
you call it signal, however, but it's the shape of the wave. Like a square wave is a signature, a sine wave is a signature, a biphasic or monophasic. Those are what I call signatures because it's the shape of the wave. The shape of the wave dictates how far into the skin it goes into, or the depth of the tissues it will treat, or the target tissues. So if you change the shape of the wave, we can target where we want it to go, whether we're treating muscle or we treat superficial. So it's the shape of the wave, not necessarily the current, that justifies the target tissue. So, and another thing I wanted to mention, since we're on that topic, if that's okay, we got time.
No. Oh, we totally do.
Is it's not only the shape. We found out that, you see these probes, these are the famous Madonna fork facial probes that went viral.
Yeah, hold those up. Let's see those.
Am I okay with that? Can you see that?
No, can you hold them up?
Like this?
The forks. Let's see them. Oh, yeah, hold them up. Let's see them. This like totally put you in a whole nother stratosphere. Oh, we lost sound.
Can you hear me?
There we go.
Okay.
Stay plugged in. Because this is important.
This is the most important part. Because a lot of the competitors are trying to copy this, and I'm going to explain the difference.
please.
See, our machine is what we call multi-channels. And what is a channel?
Okay.
A channel is significantly different than a port. There are companies out there that say, oh, I got 3 ports or I got 4 ports. A port is not the same as a channel. When we have a channel, that means you have a specific signal or a signature going to each prong that's independent from the other. It doesn't affect the other. Channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4. In this case, it's the negative. Channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4, positive. Each of those prongs communicate to the other prong independently, and it doesn't affect the other channels.
That's cool.
So what happens is, because we have more channels, we get more surface area conduction on the skin per square millimeter than with the single channel system. So you get more of the surface area, not more current, but more of the magical signal doing the work. So when the other companies have multi-prongs on their probe, it's still only a single channel system. And what does that mean with a single channel with 4 ports? Well, they're all connected to each other. It's just a wire connecting all the prongs to the same channel, right?
Yeah.
So think about this. Hear what I just said.
Totally.
One channel connects a direct wire to all the prongs. So thinking about that, and I probably won't have to explain it. You're going to get this on your own. So what happens if I short out one of the prongs? What happens to the other 3 prongs?
Well,
they go dead.
Yeah.
They go dead because they're all connected to each other on the same channel. 4 ports on one channel. That's a bad thing if your machine doesn't monitor. So I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
If you connect the face pads, a lot of companies will say, well, we have a multi-port, just connect the face pads, and then you could use the probes over the face pad. Well, what happens is, because the face pads are on the same channel on another port, when you put the face pads on the skin, the signal saturates and goes to nothing. So what happens to your probe when you put your probe on the skin attached to the same channel when the pads are on? Nothing. It's amazing. It's like I got tests done on this. The current on the probes, because the pads have taken it all away because it's on the same channel, although a different port, it takes away the signal. Your probes are only 10% efficient.
Right. So what's a good question?
So what did we do to change that? I'm going to tell you what we did, because I'm going to tell you.
Okay, please.
Am I going too fast?
Roll.
Am I on a roll? Should I stop? You have a question? Go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, to help our audience, if they're shopping around per se, you're really the only company that has the 4 channel.
Oh, yes, we're the only one. They might have more prongs or more metal tips, but it's only from one channel, so that affects the other. So when I plug it on the other machines, the pads, and I put the pads on the skin, and then I take the probes are not as effective. So what we did was, the pads have its own independent channel on our machine. Okay. So when you take these pads and you short them out and put them together, it's not going to affect the probes because it's on different channels. You see?
Yeah.
So you're going to get so much more effectiveness. I mean, this is not rocket science. It's simple mathematics. 1 + 1 = 2. 2 + 2 = 4. 4 channels is much better than 1 channel.
Absolutely.
You see, I had to explain that because there's a lot of companies that are trying to fool people with saying they have multiple ports. A port is not the same as a channel.
Thank you for that clarification, because I think, we don't really know. I think as estheticians, we try to do our research, the best we can. And if we're looking at things like the Chang study, for example, as a reference point, and we're not really getting, clear information. So I think that's really vital. I mean, if you're the only company, I think you're the only one that has your FDA certificate, right? Why is that important?
Well, here's the deal. Right? Because we are truly a U.S. manufacturer, a lot of other companies, either import from overseas and then box them up here in the U.S. But
Sure.
As far as I know, we're the only one that actually has a license to manufacture. I have a license number. And
Right.
we have a license to manufacture these medical devices and sell them. They're considered medical devices because the FDA regulates these machines. So in order to get that certificate, our facility needs to be inspected to the highest quality standards, which we have. We also have to have our machine pass a series of safety testing. Our machines have gone through EMF emissions testing, so they know they don't emit harmful emissions or radiation, or harmful radiation won't change or damage the machine in any way. So we've
Right.
gone through all of these processes to in order to put our 510K submission for approval into place. And right now we have a 510K submission for approval in place, and we expect to be getting all that finalized before the end of this year.
And that's
It's a lot
big.
of work.
That's huge.
I mean, as far as I know, we post all of our licenses and certificates right on the website. And
Yeah.
people can look at that, and I don't see that from any other company. And that to me means a lot, that if your company has been ISO rated to the 13485, which is the highest quality standard that's out there, and and have all the safety testing and the radio frequency emission. People ask me, does your machine emit harmful? Well, we have a certificate that it doesn't. It was done by a third-party test. That all means something. You
Right.
see, you're not going to find that from a lot of China suppliers because they don't have to follow those regulations because they're not made in the US.
Right. And gosh, I mean, like, think about it. Like, some of those machines, Tony, are actually doing more harm.
Well, you don't know because a lot of these machines have what we call Bluetooth
Yeah.
wireless that communicates to another device, or that's radio frequency emissions. You don't know the intensity because it never was safety tested. So when you place a machine by someone's head and you start doing treatments and it's communicating to a Bluetooth pad, that's RF. So we're here trying to do anti-aging with people's face, but yet we're damaging them with radio frequencies. Come on.
Yeah,
Does that
I
make
know.
sense?
No, it so doesn't. It really,
It doesn't make sense at all. So you take away, you don't have any machine that communicates through Bluetooth or anything else because that's radio frequency. We don't do it that way. Our machines have a certificate that pass. We don't emit any harmful RF frequencies that are
Yeah.
harmful.
Yeah. I don't need any more help aging. It's going to be fine on my own. You know what I mean?
I get questions about that, and I do know that estheticians don't like devices that emit harmful emissions.
Right.
And, we all don't want to stand under these power lines, and, we all try to do the best we can because we know that's not a good thing for our bodies and skin.
Right.
So why have a machine that's built that way?
Right.
Doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. No. So, let's just talk about machines for a bit, because I right now have, 4 estheticians that I'm kind of coaching to implement your 3800, which is one of my favorites. Let's just talk about that. And the 3800 has the 4-channel.
4 channels.
Has the 4-channel. And, so do you have a favorite machine? Like your newest baby, or can you give us any insights?
I design them, so I know they're all good. And, my goal is try to make machines that are quality in a budget and try to make machines that I feel are stellar.
Right.
We have 2 facial machines and 1 machine that encompasses face and body all in one. And you can buy, that's our SX 4500. Basically, it's got the facial machine and our body machine all in one unit. So you could do like a body and face at the same time. That seems to be our most popular machine, believe it or not. It's our top of the line, and it is our biggest seller because people see value and in a return on investment, what they can get. I mean, think about this. If you can do a face and body treatment at the same time, boy, that's a lot of dough. That's a lot of income that esthetician or user is going to make.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just kind of like how I'm coaching my girls right now. I'm like, look, I don't like to see anybody in debt. I'm not saying run out and buy a machine, but there is a way to do it, and there's a way to bring it on. And it does take, and you and I were even talking about this too, it really takes, I don't want to say you need to be a go-getter out there, but you can't be like shy about bringing it on, and reaching out and possibly doing some pre-sales. So I'm having a lot of my girls do like a pre-launch series so that their equipment is like paid for before it gets there.
The
You know,
way
that
my team looks at it, you know, our staff and everything, you had kind of hit it on the nose. If you don't have skin in the game, and you're not willing
yeah,
to
yeah,
take and launch and put skin in the game, then it's difficult, I think. You know, if you have skin in the game, you know, we believe and support that. That's an awesome thing, because it takes more than a great machine. I feel like I have a great machine. I believe I do. I think it's the best. But, you know, at the end of the day, it also takes a great esthetician to go and work
great.
this machine and make it do magic.
That's
A
right. That's
machine's not
right.
going to jump. You put it on the table right now, that machine's not doing anything. It
Yeah,
takes a great, outstanding person to take that thing to orbit and make it work. And that's where the team comes together. It just takes a whole team of everyone doing what they need to do to make that person sing and work with that machine.
that's right. We had a question from Stephanie, and Stephanie, thank you so much. She did say, what is the difference in your machines? And Tony just finished that. That's like one of your favorite things to talk about.
I know. I go crazy with that. I'm sorry. You know, I get a
No,
little
go
carried
ahead and
away.
answer her again. She might have hopped on late, you know, if you want
I'll
to give
kind of
her.
consolidate it into
Okay.
two things. One is our machine. We feel that everyone has different skin types, and no two people are the same. So it takes a machine to understand and read the skin type and density and output perfect levels based on the skin type, not just say, hey, my machine is 560 microamps or 480 microamps. Our machine reads the skin type, outputs perfect levels, and makes sure that the signal integrity is maintained based on the skin type and density. We have a patent on that, and we're the only company that I know in this galaxy that builds a machine like that. Number two is the multi-channels. You know, multi-channels, as I was mentioning before, if you have multiple channels, you have more skin surface area being treated per square millimeter, as opposed to a device that's use a single channel. Even though they have multiple prongs coming out of a single channel, it's not the same as a multi-channel system. We are the only company that builds a true 4-channel system.
4-channel
Not
system.
ports, not prongs, but channels.
Channels. Different, and that really means different wave. What does that mean in layman's terms? 4 channels is like 4 different.
Okay.
I know.
Okay. No, I got to do this because
got,
see, I'm an engineer. I think like when I got to know how you girls are seeing this, because it's different.
yeah.
So a channel is a pathway. Let's put it this way. It's a freeway.
Okay.
It's a freeway with multiple lanes. I have 4-lane freeway, as opposed to a highway that's just 1 lane. You can still fit cars on that highway, but if that 1 lane gets blocked, everybody dies. Everyone in the lane is shut down. But in my machine, you have 4 lanes. If lane 1 is working, you still have lane 2, 3, and 4 rolling and doing its own thing. So you have multiple lanes in my device, or multiple things going on, that is treating the skin effectively, as opposed to a single lane highway.
Wow. Okay. So that's
Does that help?
Yeah, that's an interesting
Think
analogy.
of the cars in the highway as the square wave or the signal, right?
Yeah.
So I have 4 lanes of those highways of the cars in each of those lanes rolling, as opposed to a device that only has a single lane highway and the cars going down one by one on the lane, where I got, every time I pass 4 lanes, there's 4 cars passing my vision, as opposed to 1 car in the 1 lane.
Right. Oh,
now
gosh.
they're all going 50 miles an hour, so the current is the same. It's just that I have more of the magical signals doing the work.
Right.
You see, so I'm not giving more energy. I'm giving more surface area treatment quickly. So 1 sweep of that 4-prong probe equals 8 sweeps of someone else's machine.
Someone else's suite. So 4-lane highway. Don't say it, Rose. Stay in your lane. Don't say it. It's our little joke. Rose Ladicio is on. You have some
Hi, Rose.
People. Yeah. So I guess, you know, just in closing, you know, is there any question that you feel like you wish like someone asked you in like kind of like an interview style like this, that you're like, oh man, I wish they would have asked me this or asked me that you just want to kind of convey to people?
You
know, I just throw you.
I know.
No, I didn't mean to.
That's okay. One thing I could say is that, even though I feel I built a great machine, and what I will always like to say is, whenever, someone tells you they make the best or this or that, take a look at the staff and take a look at their customers that are successful. If you see so much excitement, and I don't know, my Facebook and Instagram, and I hear that we have a lot of things going on right now with a lot of customers are successful, and I like to see success. And if my customers aren't successful, then I always try to say, well, what's going on? What do we need to do to fix? And that's where, we try to always put together a good support team to make sure that happens.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. So. No, that's incredibly important. I love how integrous your company is. I love everyone. I fell in love with Pam back in January, and we've been fast friends. And so, but Tony Picciano and Neurotris, they are one of our premier sponsors for the Beauty Business Summit. So we're very, very thankful for that contribution to the grant for the beauty school, that we will be announcing that winner of the beauty school on stage Monday night when you're in Hawaii with us. So for those of us joining in Hawaii at the Beauty Business Summit, you'll get a chance to meet Tony in person and also step over to his experience table and get a little current. I know I will, for sure.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me today, and have a beautiful rest of your day.
Well, thank you all. Appreciate being here.